the 1400cc modified production car class, mainly minis, is one of the most popular and competitive at Gurston. And Derek Mullis is one of its longest established competitors. With 2 Gurston championships already in the bag, Derek scored over 200 class wins with his Sigma Tune Mini Bright Eyes. It's not hard to see why, as this is another ultra smooth and quick run from the oval greengrocer. Up into Carousel, he takes the Mini through on the perfect line. The car stays off the rumble strips, but Mullis keeps the power onto the front wheels all the time. Out of ashes now, he heads for the finish. As ever, it's tight at the top in this class, so he'll be looking for a low 38 to stay in the top 3. But today it's so tight that even a 38.16 will leave him only 4th at the end. Cranbourne engine builder Steve Harris has been building, racing and hill climbing minis since his days with the legendary Datsun engineering company back in the 60s. This is his latest 8-port head version of the A-Series unit in a new Rover Mini shell, which he's been running since tail end of last season. The vastly experienced Harris is always entertaining to watch as he chucks the little front-wheel drive car around, lifting the inside rear wheel at every opportunity. It's another hard charging run from Steve, but can he match the time set by Derek Mullis a few moments ago? The 8-port A-Series motor's working hard as Steve heads for the line, and it's going to be close. But he loses out by just a quarter of a second. As we saw in part 3, Steve Butts is rapidly charging up the championship table. Let's ride with him again as he attempts to match June's record-breaking run. With championship leader Jim White also breaking records in his Mini, it's vital for Steve to stay on the pace. Earlier today he was just 700ths away from his June record, and this is another serious attempt. Even quicker into Carousel this time, the Elise locks up under braking before Butts grabs second for the uphill leap. Holding the gear all the way to ashes and round the left-hander, it's full ball to the finish, changing up through the box as quickly as possible. His June record stands at 33.38, and he exactly equals it. He's now up to 4th place on the championship table. Tony Wiltshire gets the full story.
Thanks, Jerry. Steve, you were champion in 2004-2005, but this year in April you opened the account with a difficult score because you're in a borrowed car. In June though, much better progress, beat your own record and scored how many points, Steve?
8.4.
And for this event?
8.4.
What you're telling me is you equalled your record again this time round?
Nothing wrong with consistency.
That's very true, but a remarkable score to get for sure. Overall in the championship though, that's a very good score, and when it comes to drop scores, that's going to work favourably for you.
I think when the lowest score is dropped, I think that puts me into the lead at the moment.
Yeah, on your scoring average it would do, wouldn't it? The September meeting to come though, really you're going to need a dry day there, aren't you, so you can get down into these sort of times.
Definitely. Jim White will be doing his rain dance, and I'll be hoping for a dry day so I can drop my first meeting score and do a nice consistent 8.4 again.
Well, that'd be interesting to see that, but basically 2 good rounds for you. The drop score system, it'll work very, very well for you, and certainly that average is higher than anybody else, isn't it?
Yep, so fingers crossed.
Okay, Steve, well done for today. Best of luck for September.
Thanks a lot.
It'll be an interesting close finish, I'm sure.
Determined to get back up the leaderboard, Colin Smith brings his Escort to the line again. This one has really got to count. He's still not matched his times with the older car, so perhaps this run will see the turning point. Once again he almost takes the Escort into the field in an attempt to cut hollow as fine as possible, and that could prove costly if it grounds the engine, the gearbox or the back axle over the rumble strip. The car's still going well as he gets on the brakes, but could that puff of smoke herald problems? It all looks okay as he hurls the car through Carousel and rides high up the rumble strip again on the apex of ashes. But the smoke's getting worse. It's pouring out now and there are serious problems for Colin. He's blown the diff, and sadly that spells the end of his day's sport. Let's go back to Tony, who's talking to another regular Gurston competitor.
Thanks, Jerry. I'm now with Paul Slade. Paul's been campaigning this E-Type for a number of years. Originally had a full road going car. Done quite a few modifications to this car, Paul.
This car is fairly heavily modified now, that's right. Yes, suspension, uprated engine, brakes, all that stuff.
It certainly was being thrown at the hill with some verve earlier on. What was your time like today?
Not too bad. We got pretty close to my personal best, about 37.5, which is 30.6 today, I think it was. So that's close, you know.
Oh, a very good time, yeah. You've got a bit of a passion for E-types. I understand that's your business as well.
That's what I do these days. I restore them, yeah, particularly the early Series 1 cars like this, yeah.
So this is a mobile advertising board for you then?
To some extent, yes, it is. That's right.
Well, great to see cars like this on the hills. Adds to the variety, and when they're thrown around like you throw this around, then, yeah, very, very effective. Well done.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
It's hard to believe that the E-Type Jaguar has been around for some 47 years. In 1961 you could buy one for around £2,000 and they instantly proved popular for all kinds of competition motoring. Paul Slay's example is one of the early Series 1 fixed head coupes, and happily for us the car is almost a permanent Gurston fixture. Paul's up against Steve Holly and Ben Stapley today in the Big Mark sports car class, and giving them a good run for their money too as he hurls the big car through Gurston's tight centre section. It's great to see these cars still in action on the hills, and Paul is right up with the leaders today. .3763 will secure a podium placing for the E-Type. Look carefully through the Datsun's rear window and you might just see that Ben Stapley carries a passenger in the 240Z, the ever-present orangutan that hangs onto the roll cage for dear life. That's typical of the Castle Carey fireman's approach to hill climbing, but once the light goes green he's a serious competitor. His lightweight Datsun used to be run by Alan Carruthers with Rover V8 power, but now Ben has a full house 6-cylinder 3.1 litre fuel injected Datsun unit under the bonnet. He's chasing Steve Holly's TVR Griffith, and the way he's going he might just catch him. With Pete Tyner's 11-year-old record, and hence the championship target time, just a little out of reach, no one in the class will be scoring serious points today, but that won't worry Ben. He always enjoys his motorsport, and a class second place is the next best thing to a win. After his first run, Andy Baskam managed to hang on to third place in the championship, but now Steve Butts is breathing down his neck, so Baskam desperately needs to find more pace. The light goes green and the twin cam Escort Warrior is off down the hill towards Hollow. There's just a hint of a lift this time, but Andy floors the throttle again on the run into Carousel. But he's too quick into the corner and the car snaps sideways. He almost misses a gear in the scramble to correct the slide, and now it's a real red mist job as he tries to make up the lost time, hurling the car into ashes and exiting in a big understeering slide. The time is ticking away. He set a 34.56 first time up and he'll struggle to match that now. 34.78 falls short. His championship third place is intact, but for how long? On the line now, the championship leader, Jim White. It was that superb new record in June aboard the unique BMW-headed More Speed Mini that put White firmly in charge of the Gurston Championship. But he knows that with Steve Butts scoring well too, he can't afford to hang about. This is the quickest Mini ever to climb Gurston, and White demonstrates that beyond doubt, hurling the car up into Carousel almost without braking and getting on the power as quickly as possible through the bends. It's another quick run, but it's still half a second away from his new record. Jim's still heading the championship table, but will he be able to maintain his advantage in September's final round? Tony Wiltshire is about to ask the question.
Jim, still leading the championship. Good score today. What was it exactly?
8.07.
Pretty good. And Steve Butts, though, he's on an 8.4. Good scoring average, but a little bit weaker with the April meeting.
Yeah.
Fearful of that position come September?
No.
No?
No problem.
I think that's going to be down to weather to an extent, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I did a rain dance all this week, but we've had good weather, so that's okay.
The law of averages, you're predicting a damp one in September.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Okay.
We'll take him on in the jolly.
When we first talked to you at the beginning of the season, you put this unique BMW motorcycle head onto this engine. How's the development gone of that over the last few events?
It's producing good power. No, we haven't really touched it at all.
Oh, phenomenal development, you know, straight out of the box and working so effectively.
They've done a good job.
It's certainly shown some remarkable performance.
It'd be nice to dip into the 35s.
Absolutely, it'd be going some from Mini, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well done, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Let's see what September brings us, shall we?
Rain.
Thanks, Jim.
So after 3 rounds of this 4-round championship, Jim White still leads defending champion Mike Rudge. But Andy Bascom's 3rd place is coming under fire as former champion Steve Butts charges up the table. On current form, the Elise driver looks set to challenge for the overall title, particularly when the top contenders discard their worst score. Join us again in September to discover the final outcome.